Another section of this topic will be to explore the concept of perfect squares and perfect cubes. So there will always be questions that ask you about perfect squares and perfect cubes. I'm going to show you the idea of perfect squares and then the features and then a sample question of how a perfect squares question can come about and how perfect cubes question can come about. First of all, let's explore what are called perfect squares. So perfect squares are this kind of numbers. You can punch calculator. You punch calculator. So 3 square means 3 times 3. Okay, 4 square means 4 times 4. 5 square means 5 times 5. So these are called perfect squares. 8 square is 8 times 8, 64. 9 square, 81. 10 square, 100. So obviously there are some more. Okay, I'm just showing you a sample. So which are the perfect squares? So the perfect squares are 1. So 1 is a perfect square. It came from 1 square. 4 is a perfect square. It came from 2 square. 9 is a perfect square because it came from 3 square. So all these numbers here are the perfect squares. So all the numbers here are the perfect squares. And the perfect squares are such that you can actually take a square root and you will get a nice number. So for one of the feature of perfect square is, right, if you go and take a square root of any of the perfect square, it will give you a nice number. So being a perfect square, when you take square root on it, you will have a nice number. So one of the important feature will be the powers are all even number. The powers are even numbers. That means, right, the powers can be divided by 2. So remember when we take square root, the powers, we divide the powers by 2. So for perfect square, the powers must be able to be divided by 2. So that's one of the feature of being a perfect square. So this is an important feature for you to answer a lot of questions. So a sample question will be something like this. So find the smallest value of n that makes this a perfect square. So this essentially is 792 times something times the number. So your job is to find this number. And this number is supposed to make 792. This number, when you multiply by 792, you will get a perfect square. Okay, so how are you going to answer this type of question? It's one of the more difficult questions. So the first thing, I will do a prime factorization. So do a prime factorization in your usual method. So at the end of the prime factorization, I would have gotten this. Okay, after you got this, right? Okay, let's check the power. So this cannot be divided by 2. This can be divided by 2. So when there is no power, the power is actually 1. So 1 also cannot be divided by 2. So 792 is not a perfect square because the powers are not all the powers are not divisible by 2. Okay, so here is the trick. We need to multiply numbers We are going to multiply numbers to make it a perfect square. So what does that mean? I need to multiply numbers to make it into even power. So this is good. So this is already even power. So don't touch this already. So here I'm going to multiply. I'm going to multiply by a 2. So if I multiply by a 2, I will get 2 power 4. So in case some of you don't understand, so 2 cube is 2 times 2 times 2. So if I multiply by an extra 2, I will get a 2 power 4. So if I multiply by an extra 2, I will get a 2 power 4. Okay. Then here, if I multiply by an extra 11, I'll get 11 square. So can you see? We want to achieve powers that can be divided by 2. So this can be divided by 2. This can be divided by 2. This can be divided by 2. And what do you actually multiply? Do you realize you multiply by 2 just now? And you multiply by 11. So that will be the extra number that you multiply. So n is equal to 2 times 11. So it will be 22. You actually don't need to keep working. If you can understand it very well, you can see that you just multiply by 2 and then 11. Then you will achieve powers that can be divided by 2. So in any case, if you want to do checking, how are you going to check? The question says that 792n is a perfect square. So let's check. 792 times 22. I'm going to try punching calculator. I will get 17424. And it is supposed to be a perfect square. So let's try punching the square root. I get a whole number. So if I can get a whole number, that means, right, 792 times n is already a perfect square. So do the prime factorization, find the missing numbers to make even powers. So in order to make even powers, I need to multiply by 2. I need to multiply by 11. So my n is 2 times 11. Okay, so you're going to see this type of question very frequently until step 4. So here comes the idea of perfect cubes. So what are perfect cubes? So perfect cubes are numbers like 1 cube means 1 times 1 times 1. 2 cube means 2 times 2 times 2. 3 cube means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Okay, 4 cube means 4 times 4 times 4. So you can just punch calculator. So the numbers will be quite big because you are multiplying 3 times. So 6 cube means 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. 7 cube. So you can punch calculator to explore. Okay, I'm gonna be stopping at 10 cube. That doesn't mean that you can go beyond. So there's still 11 cube, 12 cube. Okay, so what are the perfect cubes? Perfect cubes are all the numbers here. All the numbers that come from the cube. So all these are the perfect cubes. That means, right, if you punch a calculator for a cube root, you will get a nice number. So what's the feature of a perfect cubes? Okay, I think this part, you all need to change out the typo. Okay, the powers of perfect cube are multiples of 3. That means, right, all these are the powers that can be divided by 3. So that is a feature. And based on this feature, they will be asking you similar question like this kind. Example 4. Find the smallest value of m, which makes 408 times m a perfect cube. So that means, right, the powers can be divided by 3. The powers are multiples of 3. Okay, so first of all, same thing. Do your prime factorization first. Do your prime factorization and achieve the index notation. And after the prime factorization, again, you explore. Do you have any of the powers that can be divided by 3? Yes, this one can be divided by 3. But the rest of them, the power doesn't seem to be able to multiply by 3. So I'm going to multiply numbers. So I'm going to multiply numbers. So how am I going to multiply? I'm going to multiply 3 times 3. So 3 times 3 times 3. So I got a 3. I multiply 2 more 3. I will get 3 cubed. I multiply 17 times 17. Then I will have 17 times 17 times 17. Okay, from the original 17, you multiply 17 and 17. So you actually get 17 cubed. So eventually, the powers are all multiples of 3. So what have you multiplied? These are the extra numbers that you multiply. So you multiply these extra numbers. So your m will be 3 times 3 times 17 times 17. So it will be 2601. So that's how we get the answer. So again, if you would like to do checking, so is it possible to be doing some checking? Yep, you can do checking. So the answer that you got, you multiply with 408. You will get a huge number. You try taking a cube root. You try taking a cube root. It should give you a nice number to show that 408m is now a perfect cube. Okay, so these are the 2 types of questions that will surely ask you. How do you make perfect square and how do you make a perfect cube? You got to do the correct prime factorization first. So these are the standard questions that you must know. These are the type of questions they ask regarding perfect squares and perfect cubes.